Hello, I'm Justin Bagan, and I'm here at Godom's main office with Chang. Tawei is co-founder of Godom. Godom is a platform which utilizes the Ethereum blockchain, and today we're going to be discussing some ideas around Godom. Hello, Tawei.
Hey, Justin. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. So I guess my first question is the platform still being built, or is it available now?
So there's currently an existing platform called Me My Spy. And that was started back in 2015. And what that is, it's a platform to remotely hire private investigators anywhere in the world. So Godom is basically a pivot from the existing platform, Me My Spy, and we're currently launching a beta version of the Godom platform.
Right, that's because it's based around smart contracts rather than crowdsourcing exactly.
So we're basically taking the token, the Ethereum token, and we're utilizing the technology behind that token. And what that is with smart contracting. And so with smart contracts, you can do a lot of cool things. You can automate things like escrowing, right? But if you utilize the smart contracts off Ethereum, you can automate a lot of that. You can remove the third party, and we don't have to be involved. So how that would work is, say for example, you post a case on the platform, and then you set all the terms and the milestones. And then the contractor, the investigator that you hire, they would agree to the terms. And you put all of that into the smart contract.
So it democratizes the release of funds.
Right, exactly, right. It's like democratic delegative voting in a sense. So yeah, so that's pretty much the essence of it. With the finalized version of the platform, how that's going to work is we're going to have more of a crowdsource, crowdfunding, allow for everyone that crowdfunds and crowdsources into the investigation to have voting rights. And so you could have like massive investigations with large amount of funding. You could hire multiple detectives, multiple investigators, all to contribute. And so instead of having just a three-party voting system, you can have a large group voting where there's over 100 people.
I see. So would you say your main services are sort of payment processing and escrow and the smart contracts? Would that be basically your main services?
In the end, it's to provide a decentralized platform for people to basically safely and remotely contract help for any sort of investigative work.
Okay. So that brings me to my next question, which is what's sort of the purpose of Godom? Why have Godom?
In the crypto space, and I would say just in the world in general, there really is no intermediary for people to get any sort of help. I would say a lot of that is due to the advancements of just the internet in the last 20 years. The internet has brought upon a lot of globalization, a lot of ease of hiring people, ease of business, commerce, right? But with that, because so much of business is done behind a computer screen and just through the internet, it's very easy for fraudsters, for scams to take place. And a lot of times you don't know who's on the other end of the computer, who you're really dealing with, right? And that happens for all kinds of things, not just with commerce, but also with relations. And that's been very prevalent, I would say, within the last 5 years.
So the inspiration, it revolves around security to an extent, with the smart contracts and the new technology.
During 2017, I was running it very actively then. I'm not someone that has any sort of background in investigations, but actually getting in there and personally talking to all the customers and running the day-to-day and just seeing all these cases coming in from all parts of the world, all kinds of cities that I've never heard of, I got a sense of just how dire this demand is, this demand for kind of getting to the truth, getting to the bottom of things when they want to hire an investigator is very difficult. Where's the first place you go to when you want to hire someone like that? You're not really sure. You go to Google, and then you type it in, and then you find somebody, you talk to them, And I would say over 50% of the investigators that you find on Google, they're not going to deliver services. A lot of them are scam artists, and we've been scammed before too.
So it securitizes a way for people to get help through different professionals and to get funding for it.
If their country, right, requires any kind of licensing, we'd require that. And countries that don't have any sort of licensing or any regulations around private investigations, we would help to kind of work to mediate. Because there is no mediation for some countries, like in the Middle East, right? Maybe Qatar or Dubai, where this kind of service is not really allowed, but it's in high demand.
So it can connect the humanitarian services with local people in those countries or organizations.
You have a lot of NGOs, right? And I think NGOs like the Red Cross, right, they have a hard time raising funds to begin with. Like you go to their website and they have a page that says donate to us, right? They take funds through PayPal or something. It's just not a very practical way to get help or to raise funds. So with our platform, we're opening up crypto, right? And so you have a lot of countries where, say, banking, right, is not available. A lot of places, maybe in Africa, for example. And then so by opening up crypto, you can kind of bypass the banking infrastructure where some countries are exposed to war, right, or famine, or they don't have an infrastructure to really support wire transfers or a Western Union or something like that. They can utilize crypto, right? And so you use crypto, you raise funds, and you can source help locally in these countries. You can pay them out in crypto.
So I guess this leads me sort of related to my next question. The parties that are involved in Godom, how would each of them benefit? So you talked a bit about connects people to resources through the Ethereum platform and things like this, but who else benefits? Who would be an investor in the platform or
society in general? Because not only does it benefit the individual, right? I mean, let's say a small business owner, right? The little guy, he makes like 50,000 USD a year, and he gets defrauded or something online. He doesn't have a large budget to go after the scammer, right? So it empowers them, like they can navigate fluently into where help is needed. The investigators, because you have a lot of investigators who know what they're doing, or you have a lot of people who have investigative skills that know how to find stuff through the internet, but don't have any means of being exposing their services. And Google is a monopoly in a sense. They monopolize advertising. Usually the private sector, the corporate investigative services like Pinkerton, right? These guys have a large budget to advertise through Google Ads. And so that's intrinsically going to cause their page to wind up on the first page of Google.
So it connects all these parties together, and the professionals can be more legitimate, and that can serve the people you're trying to help.
Like our rating system, right, is going to be on the blockchain. So that's where our native token comes into play, because every review and every case that gets processed through the platform is going to be embedded on the blockchain, on our token, our ERC20 token. And so someone who's really legitimate, who's really good at investigations or humanitarian work or security, it's going to be proven on the blockchain, and you can't reverse that.
It's a way of accountability for these people, and for them to build a sort of portfolio or a record, I guess, of their work, right? Something to hold them accountable.
Exactly. It's accountability, right?
Switching focus a bit slightly, what alternatives to your platform were there in the past, and then perhaps in the present?
Small-time competitors. I would say that smaller economies, I would say like some networks, investigative networks, but they're very outdated. It's more of a white pages, yellow page in digital format. And you go on there and you type in something and you find some detective, and their name and their numbers there.
But it could be anybody, I guess. That's part of it.
And so a lot of investigators, they require, it's like a 50% deposit or higher. And they take that in the form of cash, wire transfer, any way that can't be reversed. And so that's one of the biggest issues. There's like this big trust issue between the contractor, the private investigator, but with the individual looking to hire, right, 2,500 or 5,000 down, and they have you sign a contract that says, we don't guarantee any results.
It's a way of sort of equalizing leverage and trust and these sorts of things.
Law enforcement, ex-military, who really know what they're doing, they can take a few minutes looking at a case, and if all the points line up, they'll know, hey, I can do this actually. There was a detective out in New York, Robert Delano, really good guy. He didn't take any retainers, right? And he always delivered. He had like 100% success rate. So it can be done. Yeah, it can be done. It's just going up against the industry standard, which needs to be revised.
Do you think this sort of private investigation happens a lot on traditional crowdsourcing initiatives or crowdfunding? Is it?
No, it doesn't exist currently.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So this would be sort of a new platform to improve on Google and improve on those methods you mentioned.
This is a whole different ecosystem we're talking about, and we're talking about utilizing blockchain technology, right? Something that can't be erased. This ecosystem is basically allowing funds to flow freely, right, into this space. It's going to actually increase the market cap of the investigations industry.
Okay, so to move forward, Tawei is wondering, what are the differences between the existing platform and the future one?
So with our existing platform, eMySpy, it's more of a traditional marketplace. It doesn't have all the functions of crowdsourcing and crowdfunding and automation utilizing smart contracts. So with the existing platform, like I mentioned earlier, we utilize this third party named Stripe. And basically, a lot of stuff needs to be done manually. All the payments, people, they pay through credit card mainly, and that poses a lot of issues because there's a lot of credit card fraud, meaning people do chargebacks, fraudulent chargebacks. A lot of times, something would happen where we send money over to a detective and something doesn't get done and they don't send it back. So there's a lot of issues, a lot of friction with the current marketplace. And that's where the inspiration came to basically utilize the Ethereum technology with smart contracting to our new platform. One milestone wasn't achieved, or let's say that the entire case didn't successfully conclude, then that initial 100% deposit gets refunded to everyone that participated.
So it lowers the risk for all parties involved.
Right, exactly. And anyone legitimate doing investigation services would technically be able to deliver something, photos or some kind of report, some kind of evidence. And that's the thing about investigations. It's very hard to fake the evidence. And it's also very difficult to be unsure of whether or not an investigation can be done properly. Because just based on a few points, what the customer provides to the investigator, they can tell right away if this case is going to go through or not. There are a few things that may hinder an investigation, such as something more on the fly, like you were following someone maybe in an automobile, and suddenly you got cut off by a stoplight.
All right, moving forward, Tawei, what would you say is the current state of the investigations industry and the current demand?
So the industry is very fragmented in a sense that there's no real centralized place to go and get an investigator. I would say right now the only place is Google.
What can we expect from the Godom platform coming up?
So Godom is going to make it very easy for people to crowdsource and crowdfund investigation cases all over the world. It's going to simplify the paying process. It's going to bring legitimacy and credibility to investigators that are actually providing a service. And it's going to just make it all around easier to get help in general.
Now to a question most of us are wondering. How does the company actually profit? How big is this space?
Okay, so with the existing platform, what we do is we take 20% from every case that closes successfully. The investigations industry alone, worldwide, is, I would say, over 200 billion industry, and it's still growing.
Quite a large space and a lot of room to grow your business, you would say.
Right, totally, and it's evolving because I would say the traditional sense of investigations where you have an investigator that's, say, following someone on foot or through a vehicle, a lot of it's done more so through a computer, actually, investigations done digitally. So cyber investigations is an industry that's evolving and growing. And so how the IEO works is you sign up to an exchange that we launch on, and basically you participate by exchanging ETH for our token. You can just basically trade Bitcoin or USD or Ethereum for our native token, GTX.
Okay, so it becomes part of the cryptocurrency ecosystem and you can get token with Ethereum.
Right, exactly. We're gonna pair it to Bitcoin and Ethereum, US dollar, and most likely USDT as well.
Okay. Are there any long-term plans for Godom in the next 2 or 3 years?
For the first 1 to 2 years, we're gonna really try to gain adoption. Adoption in the sense that we want to normalize the crowdsourcing and crowdfunding functions. And then beyond that, the third year, we want to start pushing humanitarian causes, getting NGOs involved where they post their cases through the website.
Getting more into the humanitarian space as the time goes on.
Right, that's a long-term vision.
All right, well, I think that about does it for today. We look forward to Godom's progression and success. And thank you, Tawei.
Thanks, Justin.
And thank you all for joining us, and see you again.
Thanks, guys.